Hey guys, Luna here, and welcome back to Friendsim 2. Last we left off, we started going through the revolution rounds. So let's just continue that, shall we? So, Triza, if this one knows a way out, shouldn't we take it? There's a beat where Triza pauses to look at you thoughtfully. She isn't angry or anything, but there's something uncomfortable about it. It's like she looks through you rather than at you. Like she sees something inside you that even you don't want to talk about it.
Teresa.
I heard you, but I think that this one maybe needs to understand what's really happening here.
You know what? You feel like you actually got a pretty good understanding of what an attorney is about.
Of course. There's something rotten at the very heart of Alternia, and I think you've seen it.
You feel the tingle running up and down all over.
You've seen it, felt it, faced it head on. It's in between the words you say to me.
Teresa, you're starting to scare me.
Remily, you of all people know how much you should be scared.
Wait, what does that mean? Emil swallows heavily and looks around.
I was accused of art theft by a Violet Blood. My punishment was being assigned here.
That's awful, but also that doesn't make any sense. From everything you've seen, it would make more sense for them to just kill her. Maria avoids your eyes.
I had other skills they needed. It was very situational.
Situational. You keep following Triza around through the hallways toward the library. As you walk, you pass through portraits of women and girls that look similar to Triza. You can't help but notice that some of the younger girls are pictured with women wearing a very familiar shade of green.
I can see you looking at them.
Yeah, you're wondering about some of these portraits. You figured from
Not
contexts that these are the past empresses? Okay, well, something like that. But you're wondering about these ones with the women in green. Jade Bloods? Triza nods and walks over to one portrait in particular, one of a smaller one. It shows a young girl holding the hands of a stern-looking Jade Blood.
We don't have loose eyes, so we're raised by the matrons. Jade Bloods. You're right about that.
Triza's face twists into a frown.
A jade woman with her vocal cords removed.
Wait, what the fuck?
The idea is to limit contact with the heiress, especially during her formative years.
You don't have to tell them about this.
Yes, I do.
Man, that sucks. Triza places a hand on the portrait and shakes her head.
She was like a Lucis to me. Since I was a grub, she was the only person I ever saw, other than him. And then, one day, when I'd finally reached 6 sweeps...
Teresa, you don't have to.
She was gone. I woke up one morning to find her vanished, and I never saw her again. It was then that the Imperator began my true education.
She glares off into the distance, and you wonder what this means, what truths the euphemism hides.
The part that hurts the most, that haunts me, is that I never even knew her name.
Teresa.
Mia walks over and places a hand on Triza's shoulders, expecting Triza to shake her off, but instead she just lets her shoulders slump as she shakes her head.
It doesn't matter.
But she doesn't finish her sentence. Instead, her eyes go wide, and she looks around quickly. Romeo picks up on it immediately, so quickly it's uncanny.
She's coming back. We need to hide.
Romeo practically drags you along the hallway back into the dining room. She finds a section of the wall panel that looks slightly different than the rest of it, and stops. She slaps the side of it, and the panel props away, revealing a small space behind, just big enough for 1 or 2 people.
Get inside.
Wait a minute, now you can
Get inside.
Once you step into the space, Emil jumps behind you and pulls the panel closed. When she speaks, her voice is barely above a whisper.
We need to keep quiet. She'll hear us.
Outside, you can hear heavy footsteps.
Why are you back already?
Oh, that's so creepy.
Of course you can't answer me.
You slip and start to fall forward, only to catch yourself at the last minute. But it's too late. Nikki grabs you and hauls you out of the open. She's strong. Too strong. You don't stand a chance of getting away. Not that you don't try. You thrash and wriggle and try and slip out of her grip of literal steel. It's useless. She holds you to without a shred of mercy and without even a glimmer behind her cybernetic eyes of recognition or compassion. Your vision is fading. Nikki squeezes her hands around your throat. I thought we were friends. Can't so see you now. Try again. Yeah. Oh. You struggle to keep yourself under control. You can hear her moving outside. Next to you, Mia elbows you in the ribs.
Keep quiet.
Just go back to your hole. Leave me alone.
Oh, so good, but so creepy.
I said go back!
Try again. This time you can hear Nikki right side the panel, and you know that if she notices you, it won't take any effort at all to rip it away. You can hear her hands on the panel.
What are you doing? I told you to leave!
The sound of the hand on the panel, the slight scrape of nails on wood. You hold your breath and close your eyes. And then there's only silence.
Oh, thank God.
She knew you were there. When the panel does open again, it's only Trezor standing there looking at you. Well, that was objectively terrifying.
Are you okay?
Not exactly. You're not sure that okay is the word you choose, but you're alive, if that's what she's going for.
That will suffice. The indigo will be off for a while longer.
She has a name. Her name is Nikki. Trezor winces.
Yes, well, Nike will be occupied for a while longer. We should continue.
When you reach the library, Trezor motions for you to take a seat in one of the massive chairs that sits along the wall. You settle in and she walks over to one of the shelves and retrieves a thick book.
I told you before, there's something rotten at the heart of all of this. And here we are, so close to the center of everything.
A hell that consumes everything around it, a void without end, an impossibly old house. You shiver.
Teresa, you do not need to do this. You owe this person nothing.
I don't do things because I owe anyone anything. You know this.
She walks over to where you're sitting and sets the book down on a side table.
You want to know what the core of this looks like?
You nod. You don't know why, but you nod.
Let me tell you about Krydia Jivik.
Another one of those shivers runs up your back. Is it too late to opt out of this? Maybe you should have taken to catch up on his off all those cycles ago. Just gone back home to the locked timeline. Surely you've done enough already as your friends, right? But you've seen where they all are, how bad things got because of the way Eternia just is. Maybe there's more to this story.
Krydia was a violet blood, my age. Off-world, living in one of the grand arcologies built for the high bloods in orbit around the planet. Always close to home, while still technically filling the Empress's mandate that trolls leave the planet when they reach their 10th sweep.
You're not sure what you're supposed to say to any of this, so you just sit down and shut up.
But Krydia cared about more than living in comfort. She cared about the plight of the lowest among us.
She was into low blood, right? That seems like something that's pretty dangerous to be into.
You could say that. But she thought her status as a high blood would protect her.
This is interesting, you guess, but you're not really seeing what this has to do with Trezor, I was saying before.
You're an impatient one, aren't you?
Yeah, sometimes. Trezor laughs.
At least you're honest. There's more to the story. There's always more to the story. Krydia was outspoken on Chitter, the way that the Empire lets high bloods be outspoken.
Just enough to feel better, but never enough to disrupt things?
Exactly. You see, you have a better sense of things than you give yourself credit for.
Yeah, you tried to figure that out on the fly lately. What was she saying about Krydia, though?
Of course. Krydia started talking to a certain fuchsia blood around her age.
Which is obviously Chusa. You feel like you're being babied a little bit, but this also feels like it's point out Chusa is processing this. There's something that feels incredibly raw here.
I'll drop the pretense. I started talking to Krydia privately. Personally. Maybe I thought that things would be different than they always are. Maybe I thought our station would protect us. That my station would protect us.
You're not loving how this is going to end.
What's the point in lying to you? To myself. I was flushed for her. Maybe I thought that would save her somehow.
The worst part of every tragedy is that the outcome is inevitable.
I woke that morning to find him already at my tower.
The conclusion is foregone.
He explained the situation to me, that she was gone.
Even before you read the first word of the first page.
No, he didn't bother with euphemisms. He took great joy in describing the way she'd screamed my name before she died.
Expecting Chusa to start crying, but somehow she doesn't. Voice feels like there's something missing from it.
And that was it. The last spark of hope. He had a cerulean and an indigo with him, ones who no longer existed.
She doesn't explain this, but you get the meaning quickly.
You don't have to do this. It's still so fresh.
Stop it. I know that. I wanted to make a promise to myself that I wouldn't care about anyone after what happened. But I was never a talented liar, in spite of everything. Remily, I'm sorry.
Chusa sighs and closes her eyes, drawing in a long breath and holding it. When she lets it out again, her whole body seems to deflate.
So what can I do? You need to understand what I am, what I'm destined to do.
You're thinking you're starting to get an idea, actually. She's the heiress, the one who'll succeed the Empire. Maybe? You got that much. Also, from context, it's pretty clear that the process isn't settled in a way that would be described as non-violence. But what about the other fuchsias? Are there other heiresses out there?
There is one heiress. Fuchsias are hatched in groups and selectively culled down to the most promising grub.
You feel a bile slosh in your stomach as the reality of what this means hits you.
The rest is education. Alternian history, philosophy, science, combat training. And when the time comes, the proving and the chance to ascend to the place of the next empress. Of course, most of us never survive that part of the process. Those that do tend to be formidable adversaries.
She sighs heavily and tosses the book she was holding down onto the table.
Teresa, you need to give yourself some time to recover from everything. You try to pretend that everything is fine and you don't need help. But anyone can see what a dumbass liar you are.
Chusa laughs and turns to smile softly at Amelia, her eyes catching on the cerulean's gaze for a moment. You can't help but think that Ramil strikes you as maybe being one of the most different out of all of your friends. Like, she had the light of inside of her snuffed out, but you think that you can see a little bit of that spark still burning.
You see, if I leave, then Remily dies. He will hunt her to the ends of the Empire, simply to twist the knife in me a quarter turn. When he saw that I cared about Krydia, I revealed my weakness to him. I gave him the surest way to control me.
Okay, that's enough. You can't just keep sitting here calmly and listening to this. Everything about her Eternia is horrible. She's right. There's a raw and festering core at the heart of everything. A world designed to be a petri dish of worst possible outcomes for everything. Yeah, unfortunately. But you know what? You're fucking tired of it. You're tired of having to struggle to scrape and fight just to get by. You barely know this woman, but why should she be any different? You don't care about what color her blood is, what place she's been put into. You can help her fight. Explain what's been happening with the rebels, how you've begun to help them organize and build up the resources they need. You never really expected this to be a position, but you seem to be having a weird talent for connecting people, or at least getting them in touch with other people in business.
The rebels. The ones who care enough to actually defy this horrible place.
Yeah, you think that, well, having the heiress herself helping them would mean a whole heck of a lot to them.
I agree with you.
Well, she didn't need to sound so surprised about it.
Don't misunderstand me. It's not that. It's just that I suppose I underestimated you before.
I'm not going to just let you do this by yourself.
You squint at Ramil. You didn't think she had the kind of person to care about what someone else did or didn't
You're so
do.
stupid you think no one ever changes. Besides, I didn't say I cared about what someone else does. I care about what she does.
Aw, Ramil, you're flushed. 'Cause she cares about Trisa? Ramil goes a little bit blue and shakes her head.
Because I know how it feels to lose my freedom. Because that mattered to me more than anything.
She's glaring now, and you can see a little bit of the same hatred that's burned behind Trisa's eyes in there as well.
Your freedom is something that never should have been taken from you. I'll help.
No, you will do no such thing. I can handle this on my own.
I wasn't asking for your permission.
Ramil paces back and forth in the room, finally stopping near a bookcase.
Fuck! I can't stand here anymore in this stuffy room. Let's go back to the dining hall. At least it doesn't smell like moldy paper in there.
Interesting. I'm tired of hiding. I'm not going to stay in this town anymore. Condi, you piece of shit, I know you're out there. If you come for me, it's... condescendence. If you're coming for me, it's your body in the disposal. Interesting. Same thing in Pritix. How did she feel about Trisa?
That is complicated.
That's why you're here to help. You can provide a helpful ear for listening just as much as you can provide a handy escape from the hellscape that's Eternia. Well, you're still working on the second one, so maybe you're better listening at the specific moment in time.
Right. Teresa is... She cares a lot.
I can tell.
Not sure what I'm supposed to do with that.
You get the sense that Trisa cares a lot about Ramil specifically.
Because she feels guilt. If she hadn't lost Credia, she'd feel differently. Always the same for the Hidebloods. If it doesn't affect them personally, it doesn't exist.
You're getting the sense that Trisa definitely genuinely cared, though, about the Lowbloods and all that.
Sure, of course. But she's still never been down there. She doesn't know what it's like. Everything you see around you, it's all a prison. But that prison keeps her isolated as much as it keeps her trapped.
You do get the feeling that Trisa's going to have some unpacking to do, and you're not talking about her luggage.
What?
Never mind, you're just thinking your stupid out loud thoughts again.
You are pretty stupid, yeah.
So, what exactly does she do here?
I keep the Ares cheater up to date for the Empire. And my duty is to serve the Ares.
It's Ares, but it's supposed to be Ares. She glances around quickly as if she instinctively checking for someone who might be listening in.
Mostly she just talks to me. Like I'm her moirail. It's weird.
Weird how? Ramil shrugs.
I don't know. I think she misses her mate spirit and I'm just here to fill the gap.
Wait, Trisa's mate sprite?
God, you really are dumb, aren't you? Credia. Anyone could see they were flourished for each other. We might as well put a name to it.
Why did you add in an art? She'd be flushed. Oh, yeah, you suppose that this makes sense, given what Trisa said before. You feel bad for her.
I do too. I'm not without a heart. I might be a thief, but I'm not a monster.
Uh-huh. So, she was writing Trisa's Twitter posts?
Yes, it was one of the jobs that fish fucker assigned me.
She rolls her eyes to indicate her intense disgust with, you assume, the High Imperator.
Exactly. High Imperator. But he just a stuck-up ass.
Well, he does seem a bit terrifying.
Of course he's terrifying. You think I'm an idiot?
Okay, she does make a good point, but this drifting off topic, she writes everything Trisa posts for how long?
Since I was brought here a few cycles ago after Credia
disappeared. How does she know what to write?
They tell me and I fill in the bits that they left out. Just the usual bullshit about how great the Empire is. It's not hard to make it sound convincing because no one gives a shit.
So, you mentioned art theft was mentioned before, so how exactly did she end up here? Ramil sighs and shakes her head.
That's a long story.
Well, it's not like either of you are going anywhere until Trisa gets back. Maybe she has some time for the abridged version?
Fine. You know I was an artist. You know because you met me back then. I had such promise in the realm of popular art.
Yeah, you do remember that. Seemed like a pretty cutthroat scene, but you definitely seemed at home with it.
Well, it's hard to be involved in the art world when a violet blood accuses you of art theft.
Oh, yeah, that sounds pretty bad. Out of curiosity, did she commit the art theft in question? Mio glares and clicks her tongue.
That isn't important. I was expecting a short trial and unpleasant execution, but I got taken here instead. I think it might have been better to have the execution.
So, Does she know what's happening outside?
I'm guessing you don't mean just outside the tower.
No, of course not. Well, like the current situation in the Empire, what's going on with the rebellion and all that.
I don't know much. I see what the Empire approves on Cheater, and obviously that's a bunch of bullshit.
That's one way of putting it. The rebels are out there and they're tearing things up. You run into a ton of people who genuinely want to burn the Empire and everything it stands for to the ground.
I'll take your word for it.
But how exactly can she live like this, though? You're having trouble how she can even accept the way things are. She's constantly under surveillance, and one wrong move could mean her death. Ramil is laughing at you.
Oh, like everywhere else is so much better. At least Teresa tries to keep me safe. For whatever that's worth. I'd be stupid to try to find a way out.
Except that you can help her with that.
Yes, that was the idea. You think I wouldn't take the chance to get out?
Well, you've seen people that actually seem to like it here, so...
Not me. Fuck this planet and this empire.
You weren't sure you understood before. Is Ramil really saying she's going to throw it in with the rebels? No offense, but she never seemed like the revolutionary type.
I wasn't. But if my options are to let the Empire keep shitting on everyone or not, this is a decision born of, how do you say, pure spite.
You tell her that she should be careful. In your experience, decisions made out of spite tend to be short-lived ones.
I don't care. They took everything I had away from me. I think I'm owed a little revenge.
You nod slowly and the conversation lapses into silence. You stretch yourself out, feeling how your spine pops as it strains. You realize how long it's been since you had a chance to properly rest.
What in the world is taking her so long?
No idea. You really don't know Triza that well at all. You didn't meet her on the last trip through Eternia.
Well, I don't like it. You know that Indigo Monster is coming back soon.
You don't have time to answer her. Crap. You grab Emil's hand and scramble back toward the staircase and leads up toward the tower. Behind you, Nikki comes barreling after you, and how the heck does she move so fast? You're stomping along, breathing in even measured. This isn't making her exert herself. You think you can see Treza on the balcony. Maybe she can convince Neki to stop. You and Emil reach the balcony, panting and grasping for breath.
What's going on here? I told you to...
Trista stops and looks at the hulking figure of Nike. Her train is resting nearby, propped up against the balcony. Oh boy, that does not seem like a good sign. But it's too far, Nikki's so close. You close your eyes.
Stand down.
Nikki stops moving as she's frozen in place at the sound of the High Imperator's voice.
If you will kindly give us some space, I need to have a discussion with these three.
Interesting.
There. You see, there's no need for all of that right now.
The High Imperator smiles at you, and you feel your stomach clutching up. The way he smiles doesn't reach his eyes. The way a grim hollow of his gaze remains fixed in its place even as it grins.
Now let me be direct. I know who you are. Alternian intelligence has been tracking you since you first arrived back in Alternia.
This is already very different.
You've been causing trouble. But in the grand scheme of things, it hardly matters.
You bastard. What the fuck do you want now?
Petra turns to Tristan and shrugs, his face impassive.
For you to understand and accept the role you were hatched to play, and for this one to explain themselves.
You didn't mean to end up here. Petra looks up carefully as if he's trying to figure out whether or not a threat or not.
Interesting. And how exactly did you end up here?
Your ship crashed
Intriguing.
by.
A spaceship? Tell me more. Is it perhaps an alien warship?
No, not really. More of a small personal craft. You tactically avoid mentioning the ship that actually brought you here to the tower, not wanting to get another one of your friends in trouble.
And what are your plans here on Alternia? What are you trying to do here? Are you here to spy on our society? To gather information you can use against us?
Just making
Your
friends.
dishonesty is growing tiresome. In fact, I fail to see why I shouldn't simply kill you here and now.
Petra reaches for the pistol on his hip. Wait! You know you're not doing a good job of explaining, but you can do better. In fact, you're just getting to the part that clears everything up.
Very well. You may proceed.
You're just trying to get home. You quickly explained that no, you're not an alien spy or an invader or anything else.
Why should I believe you? What reason should I have to let you live?
You're basically harmless. You hold up your spindly arms to show you how weak and useless you are. You might be an alien, but you're not like one of those face-hugging, acid-spitting kinds. You're more of a friendly kind, the one that just wants to peacefully return to their planet. The High Imperator laughs and shakes his head, his hand straying to its pistol.
I think I've heard more than enough. Nike, dispose of them.
Wait, no, this isn't fair.
What makes you think that ever had anything to do with this?
Next to the High Imperator, Nikki steps forward, her arms raised. She turns around and grabs the violet blood, lifting him bodily off the ground by his torso. You all watch stunned. He tries to ward her off, but he grabs his throat and she won't let go. Round after round hit her, but she shrugs him off, ignoring the indigo welt that rises up as the bullets impact her body, and then all the bullets are gone. The High Imperator body's goes limp. Slumped over on the ground, bleeding profusely and definitely dying, Nikki finally reaches up towards you, and finally you can see the recognition on her face. You hold her hand until she stops moving. Standing on the balcony over the sea next to the bodies of the High Imperator and Nikki La, you wish more than anything that you weren't here.
My God.
Mia looks like she's starting to shiver all over, and you can feel that shock could just happen starting to set in all over you too.
Good fucking riddance. He was a bastard.
Yeah. She walks over and stomps down on the heart of his head. You hear a sickening crunch as her boots connect with his skull. Trisha sneers.
Stay warm in hell for me, Petrus.
This is really happening. We're leaving.
Yeah, exactly. You pull out your palm mask and quickly message GBD. You should have the ship fixed by now.
There's a landing pad at the top of the far tower. You can go.
Okay, but what about her?
I have matters to attend to before I leave.
Fine. But we're leaving without you if you take too long.
Okay, so Emil's on her way now. Now about Trisha. She can't possibly think it's a good call to stay here.
It doesn't matter. I already explained that I'm not leaving.
Yeah, but why?
I told you about Krydia already. But what I didn't tell you is, I knew she was involved with the rebels.
Interesting. Okay.
I was getting ready to disappear with her. To become a symbol of what the people of the Empire could be.
Okay. That makes sense, since...
When she died, I told myself that I'd keep doing what she started here, even though she wasn't there to see it through. So I'm going to keep her legacy alive. Those ideas are bigger than any single person.
Yeah. Oh. I accidentally went too fast. The road around you freezes in place, and you feel the same deeply familiar things crawling at you that you did at the very beginning of all of this.
I'm sorry, my dear reader, but this has gone on for far too long.
Really now? Really? Joe's Revolution, Volume 13. Decided that freedom wasn't enough. Interesting. It's fun. Very fun. Do. What happens next? It's entirely up to you. Yes, I definitely want to save my progress so far. Shadow 14, Shadow of All Things. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys have a good day, night, week, month of your lives. And may the stars forever guide your path, wherever they might lead you into the future. Bye everyone, and see you next time.